We'll give everyone a second here to get into this live session, and then we will start to answer some questions. I'm just going to fix my camera real quick. There you go. Well, almost. There we go. Good enough, I think. So hopefully everyone's doing well tonight. We'll be answering a bunch of, some baseball-related questions, and then who knows what else we have. So we've got some people now just joining. What's going on, Hunter? We'll say hello to everyone here for a minute. Chat, what's going on? And then we'll get into the questions. Pete, thanks for hanging out. Hey, what's going on? Hater forever. Hopefully not hating our channel. Anthony, what's up? Easy. Ryan, what's going on? I don't want to mispronounce your name. Ian? I probably pronounced that wrong. 999, what's going on? Jason, what's up? Thank you for the no hating. Hey, James, how are you? Luis, what's up? All right, so we'll give everyone about another 20 seconds to get on in here. Grant, what's going on? Salvatore or Salvatore, either one. Both cool names. Hey, Jack, what's up? So if everyone could give a like, that would be awesome as everyone kind of gets in here. Hey, Drew. All right. So now that we've got about 50 people in here, I'll start answering some questions. We'll just rock and roll. Again, if everyone could give a like to the video, that'd be great. Let's get some more people in here. We'll get a bunch of questions going. One fun drill. So if you go, I just actually put up a couple of fielding drills on our YouTube channel. If you go to our fielding, you're probably going to go to the infield playlist. I've got a couple of fielding drills on there that I do with my son who's 7 that I think the kids will like. Yeah, I saw that. Reds threw a no-hitter and still lost somehow to the Pirates. I didn't see the game, but saw the stats. How do I stop my habit of swinging above? How do I stop my habit of swinging above, up, below the ball instead of swinging up? You're going to have to write that question again. I'm not sure I understand. In their prime, who is better, a better hitter, Nomar or Jeter? I'll say Nomar in his prime. Nomar's best year, I'll take over Jeter's best year. I don't even know what the stats are, but that's what I'm going to take. You too, Paul. Your arm hurts. If your arm hurts, I would go see a doctor, someone that specializes in arms and has worked with pitchers or seen pitchers. So your arm shouldn't hurt after 20 pitches. So one of the questions is, I talk a lot about getting good pitches to hit, but you seem to be fouling those pitches off. So the way I look at it is this: when I look at if you're not hitting the ball well, so I start off with pitch selection, right? Are you swinging at good pitches? I then look at timing. Are you on time? Are you ready to hit? I call it getting to your spot. So are you loaded and in position to hit on time? And if both of those things are you can give a check mark to both of those things, then you go to mechanics. So my guess is there's something off with your swing. If you're fouling off a lot of balls, it probably has to do with your bat path. When I look back at my career, my worst year, 2008, was the worst year of my life hitting. My swing was a total disaster. How do I know something was wrong? I couldn't figure out what was wrong at the time because I knew nothing about hitting mechanics, but I knew something was wrong because I kept fouling balls off that I never fouled off before. That's what I knew. I'd get a pitch to hit in my whole life. I'd square that thing up, and now I'd foul it back. I'd be like, what the hell? Something is wrong. So you got to look at your swing. Yeah, if you have a bad habit of not keeping your eyes on the ball, it could be a couple of things. It could be your upper body. A lot of times, players that kind of want to work east to west and want to pull this way, if you're a righty and you want to take like a hard turn with your upper body to the left, it'll kind of pull your head and your eyes off the ball. So you got to feel like you're going to stay over the plate as you turn. Shohei Ohtani is amazing. He is. Did North Carolina recruit you in high school? Yeah, my last two choices that I was debating between was Wake Forest and North Carolina and UNC. And I chose Wake Forest. Do I think the Oakland A's have a future in Oakland? Probably not. Should you squish the bug with your back foot when swinging? So the back foot does a couple of different things. Every hitter's different. You'll see some hitters where their back foot will actually move back, like back this way. So some people call that scissoring their back foot. Some hitters, their foot will just pick up off the ground and come back down. Some hitters, it'll pick up and come forward. Some hitters, it'll kind of get like, their heel will kind of get peeled off the ground and then it'll turn. So back foots do a bunch of different things. You probably don't want a back foot that just turns like that, the so-called squishing the bug. You probably have too much weight kind of stacked over your backside and it's just kind of spinning. I have a video on that though. If you look up squishing the bug or something with that title, my video should come up. Let's see. How do you fix your swing path? So it's really hard for me to talk about it right here. And it really depends on your swing. Like, this is one of those individual things where everyone has their own, what could be causing you to do one thing is totally unique to you. So it's really hard to say without seeing your swing and really being able to break it down. I guess, I don't know why this example just came into my head, but it's like, if your car's not running right and you just say, why isn't my car running right? A mechanic would probably have to look at the car and try to figure out what's going on. So it's not as easy as just saying, it's not running right. How do I fix it? Well, I don't know. I have to see your car. I'd have to see your car. Or I'm sick. Help me. Well, you'd have to probably go see a doctor for them to diagnose you and figure out exactly what your issue is. How many tournaments do we play in an 11U season? We play in 2 tournaments and then our regular season and playoffs. How do you stop watching strikes go by in games? I think your mentality has to be to hit. So we call it a yes, yes, no approach. But basically, you're anticipating what the pitch is going to be and where it's going to be. And you're basically putting you're basically on swing mode until the ball tells you to stop swinging. So a lot of hitters, when they're taking too much, they're waiting to swing, right? They're seeing the ball and they're trying to figure out, okay, should I swing at this? Should I swing? Yes. And then a lot of times they're too late, or they say yes too late and they can't even swing. So you have to prep your body and anticipate your pitch and be ready to hit. You have to be thinking like, yes, 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 yes. And then you just keep saying yes unless the ball tells you no. Yes, 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 no. And then you stop. So some people call that an active take. But you just got to be more in a mindset of swing. How do you get coaches at the youth level to stop telling kids to keep their elbow up? Well, it depends what you mean by keeping your elbow up. So like all good hitters, when they get ready to hit, their elbow is somewhere, we call it being behind your hands. So they're somewhere like this. So if you call that elbow up and you don't want that, then I would say that you do want that. So this would probably not be a good position to hit from. So is that what you mean by elbow up? If you want them like this, that's not good either. So if you want to learn more about like my thoughts on the back elbow, I have a lot of videos on that. If you go to our hitting playlist, if you look at our videos on pulling back or getting the upper body ready to hit, there's a lot of, I talk a lot about that in our videos. All right, could everyone give this video a thumbs up? That would be great if you could do that, or give the video a like, I should say. What was the deciding factor in choosing Wake Forest over North Carolina? Really a couple of things for me. One, when I stepped on campus, I had this feeling immediately that I didn't like UNC. That's a personal preference thing. When I got on Wake Forest campus, I felt very comfortable. When I got on UNC's campus, I didn't. Um, the second thing was UNC was recruiting a ton of shortstops. I found out, I remember this really well. I was eating lunch with Coach Fox and said how many other infielders are committing in my class, and he said 6. I was like, whoa, like that's a lot of infielders. I didn't expect that. When I asked Wake Forest, they said, you're our only infielder we're going to commit. If you commit, you're our only infielder. So I thought my path to playing early in my career at Wake Forest was better. Our team was very good. When I was a senior in high school, Wake Forest started the season, I think, ranked top 5 in the country. They graduated, or a lot of players were drafted or graduated, so there was a good chance that I could come in and start right away. And then the third one was I got to meet the team. When I went to Wake Forest for my visit, I met the whole team. Like I hung out with the team. We had what was called the baseball house, so just a house that a lot of baseball players hung out at. I got to meet the whole team. I really liked the team. I felt like I connected well with the team. When I took my visit to UNC, I never even met the team. The 2 kids that I stayed with, you get put in you have to sleep over, so you stay with players. I just sat in their room. They did their homework and like studied for tests all night, and I just sat there and watched TV. And then I got up the next day and went to class with them, and then that was it. I didn't feel like I got to know the team. I didn't connect with the team, and so I just left UNC kind of being like, I don't know, I just didn't feel it. The coolest part was going to the basketball court and seeing like the Michael Jordan. They have like a little Michael Jordan like room thing they showed me, and like that was like the coolest part of it. But that was really it. Alex, thank you so much for Super Chat. Do you remember your last MLB at bat? Baseball Reference says you were hit by a pitch by Pirates Matt Capps. Pirates 161. I don't remember my last at bat, no. What I do remember is lining out to the center fielder against Pittsburgh. I thought that was my last at bat, but you said I got hit by a pitch, so I don't remember getting hit by a pitch by Matt Capps, no. Oh, thanks, John. Albert Pujols just made his pitching debut. Darn it, I missed it. Let's see here. Evan, thank you so much for Super Chat. When a closer like Aaron Nixon at Texas got in a habit of looking down before throwing a pitch, why would any pitching coach let that continue to point of Texas Tech stealing home field win? Okay. So that's a good question. Clearly they must have not, I'm assuming that they must have not felt like someone would attempt to steal home. I mean, pitchers have all kinds of weird things they do. And so I guess sometimes you don't realize how big a deal it is until someone takes advantage of it like that. And I'm sure after that they said, okay, we've got to make sure. So that would be my yes. I mean, typically as a pitcher, when you're in the stretch, if we're talking about in the stretch, and I can't remember, I remember that happening, but I don't remember exactly the details of it. But if you're in the full windup, you always want to kind of take a peek at third and make sure you see him before you start your windup. If you're in the stretch, you would think that you wouldn't look down that long. So it's a good question. I'm sure they addressed it after it happened, and they might have addressed it before it happened, and it could have still happened. If there are 2 players ahead of me at a position for varsity, should I switch to another position for playing time? Really depends on your skill set. That's something you could probably talk to your coach about. Players on our team have talked to us about that. You don't want to just switch positions just to switch positions. Like I've had some players be like, yeah, I can play the outfield. They're an infield, but they're like, well, there's not as many outfielders, so I'll go play the outfield and start out there, and they're terrible at the outfield, so that's not going to help. But I would have a conversation with your coach. Sometimes coaches don't realize that, you've played somewhere in the past, right? So maybe you've mostly played second because you thought that was the best spot to go in high school, but you played a lot of third as a kid, or you played third in summer and the coach doesn't know and they don't realize it until you tell them. So just maybe have a conversation with your coach. How do you know you're good enough to start getting scouted? How does that process work? Um, so getting scouted for college, we'll just say college. I'm just assuming you mean college. It really depends. Um, you could get if you go to a showcase or a tournament, or you're in front of college coaches, and typically what happens is, depending on your age, the college coach will either either get your contact information if they're allowed to, if you're old enough, and contact you, or they'll tell your coach that they're interested in, and then that coach will tell the player, and then the player has to call the college coach. So, I mean, it's usually initiated by the college coach, but also, if you're good enough, typically like your summer ball coach or your high school coach should probably tell you. I had a player today who's 13 ask me, when they're going to start getting recruited. He might even be in this chat right now. And I told him he's barely allowed to watch PG-13 movies, so he should watch those first, and then we'll worry about recruiting later. I didn't really say that to him, but that's pretty young. Hey, thanks, Jack. How to increase pitching velocity for kids? So it really depends on how old you're talking about. I think if you're talking about like real young kids, it just comes down to probably how they move their body and how they move their arm. And so just throw. The easiest thing is just throwing. Just, how do you get better at anything? You do more of it. So if they're real young, just get in the throw. Get in the throw it with good intent. Not being so concerned with putting the ball exactly where they want. A lot of young kids I see, they get beaten into their head at a young age, like, got to throw strikes, got to throw strikes, got to throw strikes. I'm not saying that not throwing strikes, I'm not saying that throwing strikes is unimportant, all right? But I think there can be sometimes maybe too much of a focus on almost like trying to play darts instead of just letting the ball go and letting your body move freely. So that's probably like a super simple thing, is like do some drills where or not even I'm calling them drills, but just letting the players be free and see how hard they can throw the ball. And usually when you do that, your body will start to work together better. And velocity will start to pick up. We could talk about this forever though. As you get older, I'll say this real quick. As you get older, the limiting factor, or what's preventing you from throwing hard, there can be so many things, right? It could be mechanics, it could be strength, it could be like mobility, it could be nutrition. You don't weigh enough, you weigh too much. It could be something upstairs mentally that's holding you back. So there's a lot of things, and every player is different. So. Do I hate the MLB on Apple TV as much as everyone else does? I actually have not watched the game on Apple TV yet. I have Apple TV, but I haven't watched the game yet on it. So I've been so busy, I haven't watched very many Major League games. I think I have a super chat that I missed. Hold on, everybody. Zach Bailey, thank you so much for the super chat. There's no question here, Zach. I don't know if the question disappeared or what happened, but it is not there. But thank you for the super chat. Was I on varsity for all 4 years? So I did play varsity all 4 years. I started my senior. So almost all the sports that I played went almost exactly the same way, close to the same way. So football, I started on JV and my freshman year, and then got called up to varsity towards the end of the year, and got a little bit of varsity playing time at the very end of the year. And then hockey was actually, I got called up much faster. I started my first game on the freshman team for some reason as a freshman, and I scored 4 goals in the first game. I remember thinking, I cannot play freshman hockey this year for very much longer, because it felt like a very low level of play. So I went to JV for like a couple games, and then I went to varsity. And then baseball actually took me a long time to get there. I played JV and then got called up towards the end of the year, and then ended up starting in the outfield for the playoffs, and then we won the state championship my freshman year. Can I explain the Kumar Rocker situation? Yeah, so I'm not an expert in that. I mean, I remember him getting drafted and then not signing. I think was it an injury issue that he dropped in the draft and then ended up not going because he thought he was going to go higher? That's a total guess, but I was so bad I should have been on JV as a senior. There's nothing wrong with that. Everyone has a different path to a different path in high school. Yeah, failed medical by the Mets. Yeah, so um, it was an injury related thing. Oh, failed medical, a heart issue. Oh, I didn't know that. Is spider tack the best way to get my 5-year-old to throw a 5,000 RPM spin rate? Yeah, probably. Lots and lots of spider tack for your 5-year-old. Currently hitting 142 in high school ball. Any tips to fix the slump? Hi, Jack. So it really depends. We had this talk a little earlier. So when I look, I'll give you a real quick thing, and you can look at this on our YouTube channel. I have a video on how to get out of a slump. If you type in how to get out of a slump, my video should come up. One of them. I've made a couple of them. So I always look at pitch selection first. Are you swinging good pitches? And I look at timing. Are you getting into a good hitting position to hit on time? And then I go to hitting mechanics. So what you need is tough because I've never seen you play, but I would look at those 3 areas and see if you can figure out which one it is, or find someone that has seen you play that can help you. We're all MLB players, star high school players. No, I wouldn't say that. I mean, I would say they're probably all pretty good players. I don't think there's too many major league players that were like horrible high school players. But I'm sure there were plenty of major league players that were like good high school players, but not like outstanding, like best player on the team. Was the major leagues what you expected as a kid? As a kid, I guess I didn't really expect. I don't remember what I expected the major leagues to be like. So was it what I expected when I got a little bit older? I guess so. Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to think of what I expected it to be. You know, the major leagues was a unique time for me. I've talked about this in other videos, but it was a weird time for me because I always expected the major leagues. Like whenever I thought of the major leagues, I thought of going to the major leagues, like feeling awesome and like dominating. And when I got called up to the major leagues, it was in the middle of the worst year of my career. If I got called up the year before, it would have been the best year of my career. But I got called up during the worst year of my career. And I just kind of figured out my swing, and I hit really well at the end of AAA, and then I got called up and got to hit my first at bat. And I was feeling really confident at that point. And then, you know, my major league debut in 2008 kind of became like this experiment. It was kind of like a weird, you know, the coaching staff said, well, you've struggled at AAA this year, and so we want to try to get you ready for next year. So we were like making a lot of swing changes and giving me like, making me try a bunch of things I'd never done before, and I was trying to do at the major league level, which became really difficult for me. And then I started to struggle because, you know, I was trying all these new things, and then, you know, I didn't feel like myself. I felt like it was like I was playing in the major leagues. This was my chance to play in the major leagues, but I was not like me. I was like trying to be something else with someone else's swing, even though the statistics all went under my name. And it was a really frustrating time for me. And I went 0 for 25, I think, at one point. And, you know, it was just, so that was not what I expected. I mean, I remember talking to Laura and calling her and talking to her and being like, I don't want to do this. Like, this is not what I envisioned my major league career being like, you know, so. Tough to say, Jack. You know, we'll never know that, but could have been better, could have been worse. Who knows? What's your preference, travel ball or high school coach? If you could only do one, what would it be? You know, that's a really good question. So I'll say this: I like different aspects of both. I like the aspects of high school ball. I like having the opportunity to see a team every day and to really work with a team, and you know, you can do more work with players. You can. I like the idea of winning being more of a priority. Then sometimes travel ball can just be about, you know, showcasing. At the same time, though, I've also learned through experience that that's not always the case. So last year, our summer ball team for Antonelli baseball, our 17U team, one of the most successful teams we ever had. That team was like die hard win. Like they just wanted to win, 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 win. It very, very, you could not feel any, you really didn't feel like a showcase type travel ball atmosphere. We've had other years where you feel more of that. It really depends on the kids in the team and how, and, like I said, last year's team really wanted to win games, which was really nice to see. Same thing in high school. There's been years in high school where I could feel the team really wanted to win, and that's all they cared about. There's been other teams where the team, some like players will care more about themselves and their own success and not the team. So um, it does depend on kind of who is on the team and how the team is made up and the personalities and all that. In a brawl, do I participate without actually having to do anything? Yeah, I've done that plenty of times. I've been in a couple of bench clearing brawls. Um, so I've been in a handful of big fights. Never thrown a punch in a fight. Usually I'm breaking up the fights or like helping, grab on to people. Um, the one fight I talk about a lot is when I was with the Nationals playing against the Cardinals, and we got into a fight because Nigel Morgan stepped on Albert Pujols' like heel at first base, and they didn't like that very much. So they threw at us, and then we threw at them, and then they threw at us, and it went back and forth. And then Tony La Russa, their manager, and our manager was Jim Riggleman. They started screaming at each other, and then benches cleared, and I ran out onto the field. David Freese was their third baseman, and me and him were roommates in San Diego, and good friends. And so, just joking around, I ran out onto the field and just kind of went over to Freese and I didn't really grab onto him, but I was like, I won't punch you if you don't punch me. And then we just kind of stood there, and I didn't throw any punches or anything. There weren't really, I don't think there were any punches thrown in that fight. I think it was more just kind of grabbing, shoving, and pushing and all that stuff. But I've been in some bench clearing brawls where they were like full blown like haymakers being thrown, and you do have to just kind of keep your head in the swivel, make sure you don't get clocked in the back of the head by somebody. Matt, I see a lot of guys get drafted who are sons of former players. Is this genetic because they have the resource, the last name? Interested in your thoughts. Thanks. Yeah, I don't know if it's so much the last name. Genetics, I'm sure genetics plays a role in it a little bit. I mean, I'm not an expert in genetics, but like I'm sure that if you look at like basketball players that are like 6'8", they probably have some other pretty tall people in their family. I mean, not always, but I'm sure there's the same thing. If you make it in a professional sport, you probably are a pretty good athlete. You have a lot of natural gifts. I'm sure some of those are able to be passed through to your children. Really depends. If I look at my two kids, my daughter is not as sorry if she watches this one day. She's not as coordinated as my son is. So, I mean, I don't know. Maybe he got some of it from genetics. I think probably having a dad that played in the major leagues, you'd probably get a little bit, I don't want to say better coaching, but, like I'm able to help my son. He's still really young. He's only 7, but I'll be able to help him a lot as he kind of goes through it because I've gone through the whole experience already. And, for him, like he's a decent 7-year-old player because he's kind of been around the game a lot because I do baseball for work. So, we play catch a lot and, so all that helps. But with that all being said, like there's plenty of people that don't have parents, dads, uncles, whatever, that played in the major leagues and they get there. So when someone does get there that has a parent that played, you hear about it, right? When you watch like the draft, if they did have a dad that played, they're always going to be like, oh, and his dad was drafted in this and got and played here. So like you see that, but there's tons of other players that don't have a father or, a brother or anything. So. Why does Antonelli always beat the Nor'easters? I don't know if that is a true fact or not. I'm not sure. My team this year, my 11-year-old team, we got rained out when we played the Nor'easters, so I cannot tell you exactly. Yeah, I don't know. Could everyone give this video a like, by the way? Thank you so much. Eliminatus. Thank you so much for super chat. How would you handle a kid 8 who has been hit by a pitch a few times and every now and then? I have been hit by a pitch a few times and now backs out of the box with every pitch. Yeah, so this is a difficult one, and a common one, I think, when kids get hit. I mean, I remember getting hit in the head as a young kid and, a little tentative when you get back in there. So sometimes I think just time will kind of help, just getting comfortable again. Maybe start by throwing some lighter or some tennis balls, something to make them feel a little bit more comfortable, a squishy ball. You can also practice kind of how to get hit by pitch. One thing I've noticed a lot coaching young players is young players don't know how to not so much get out of the way, but they don't know how to protect themselves. So I've seen so many kids this year when the ball is thrown, if it's thrown inside, they'll like duck their head like into the ball instead of turning away and protecting themselves. So we call it rolling. So maybe making him feel comfortable throwing some tennis balls inside. We do this at high school practice. We throw balls inside at guys and we just have them kind of roll and just get used to getting hit and protecting themselves. If you look at early in the year, and I don't know what the stats are, we get hit a lot in high school. We don't try to get hit, but what happened was early in the year, guys would dive out of the way. And now if the ball's in, you just roll, protect yourself, make sure you don't get hit in the face. We don't do this and expose ourselves in our face. We're not ducking over the plate. We're just rolling. And, so I would maybe add that in. And then I think the more comfortable he gets and the more time goes by, he'll probably get more comfortable. I am a travel ball umpire. How do I beat up parents without going to jail? Sometimes it might be worth going to jail. I don't know. Yeah, that's a good question. So here would be my response to you, and this is actually a true response because as an umpire, listen, I know as an umpire, I almost never yell at umpires, and the reasoning behind that is because. So I go into every game. I actually talked to my dad about this a few days ago because my dad likes to yell at all the umpires because he wants all the calls to be correct. So I go into the game assuming, no offense to you, who asked that question. Sorry, I lost what your name was, but I go into the game assuming that the umpire that I am having at my game is going to stink. And it's just because umpiring is hard, right? There's a lot of close calls. And it's not the major leagues, it's 11U, 12U, 13U baseball, right? So I understand that I'm going to get a lot of calls that I don't like, and so is the other coach. And so why am I going to yell and scream? Because he's going to have to end up yelling and screaming. And so I just let the game be played. And, if it's something just outrageously bad, then, I don't even yell. I just will comment on it. But so I think the biggest thing is at umpiring, which is a really difficult job. And actually, as a coach, I have to do the same thing, right? You just kind of have to ignore sometimes, even though you want to punch somebody and go to jail, as you said in your case. As a coach, I hear things that yell down from parents to the coaching staff or to our kids or whatever that, sometimes I say, yeah, I'd like to punch someone in the face too, but I just ignore it. So you might be better off just going into the games kind of like I do, and you can just assume that some idiot is going to say something that gets you mad, and you're just going to, forget about it. The same way I say, these umpires are going to probably screw up a few calls to get today, and it's okay. We'll all be all right. Why did I choose my baseball number? So I was number 6. That was my good luck number. In high school, I was number 6 in hockey, 6 in baseball. when I went to summer ball, 6 wasn't available, 9 was. I chose 9 because of, I just figured, oh, 9, Ted Williams plus 6, turn upside down. When I went to college, Doug Reapy was number 6, so I couldn't be 6 for the same reason. 9 was available. I said, hey, Ted Williams will flip 6 upside down, kind of make it a 9. And that's how I got to be number 9. And then number 9 stuck with me. And then I was number 9 in the major leagues. And then Ted Simmons took number 9 from me. I became number 10. And then Miguel Tejada took number 10 from me. And I became released and never played again. So who's the nicest major league manager you've been with? Buddy Black. So not that I had a ton of major league managers. I had the opportunity to play for Buddy Black. When I was with Baltimore, I was with Buck Showalter. When I was with the Nationals, with Jim Riggleman. When I was with the Indians, with Terry Francona. Again, most of those experiences weren't as much as I was around Buddy Black for a long time, multiple years in the major leagues, in the regular season, and big league spring training. So I was around him a lot more. But he was probably, again, the nicest, but I was with him the most. They also drafted me, so. Brendan DH, thank you so much for the super chat. Have you ever had to tell a player that you coached that they didn't have what it takes to make it to the major leagues? No, I would never say that. So, I mean, to be honest, most players that I've coached don't have what it takes to make it to the major leagues. That's not most. I mean, it's really hard to make it to the major leagues. I would never really ever say that, just because, again, you never know. And, like when I got drafted and then played in the major leagues, I mean, I remember people saying, like, I would never have guessed that you would have been the person to make it to the major leagues. If we had to choose a kid on the team, hey, who's going to make it to the major leagues, you wouldn't have been the choice. So, like, you really never know what's going to happen. We just got a huge super chat. I got Glow Montiel. Hopefully I'm saying that somewhat correctly. Thank you so much for the super chat. Been seeing some really, really bad umpire calls. Is there something MLB can do to make this better? Fines, etc. I don't like the idea of robot umps, but some of these are terrible. Also, thanks so much for all your content. Longtime fan, first time joining one of these. Hey, thank you so much. I really appreciate you being a longtime fan and for the super chat. You are the best. Yeah, so that's a great question. Major League Baseball is weird because, I don't know exactly how this works because obviously I'm not in charge of it, but I don't believe, I know that they grade Major League umpires out, right? But it seems like Major League umpires kind of, once you get in, you're just kind of like in forever until like you basically quit or, you get, I was going to say you get so out of shape you can't do it, but there's plenty of out of shape umpires and like, so I don't know. I don't know if they have to get, and again, I don't know exactly how they do this because this isn't my job, but maybe they get to a thing where it's like, they grade you out and they say, hey man, you stink. You're going down. Like you're getting sent down just like they do to the players. And if you're really good, you stay. And if there's a really good AAA umpire, you get promoted, so maybe you have to do that. Again, I don't watch enough games to really see, because I have so much baseball going on that, I watch baseball, but I don't get to see as many games as a lot of people do. So, very good question though. I'm not sure exactly how you do it, but that would be my guess is you got to hold the umpires accountable, just like a team would hold, players accountable. And, if you do well, you stay. And if you don't do well, we used to say beat it, geek. So thank you again for that super chat. Okay, let's see. My son is a catch first, hit second player. Never thought he would get to the level he's playing at now behind the dish. Thoughts on how that isn't going to be good with the electronic strike zone? Yeah, so it's a good question. I think until the electronic strike zone comes, I mean, I would continue to really work on receiving. I mean, it's the number one thing we work on with our players, with our catches, receiving. It's what you do the most. So, I would really hammer away at that. And if one day, when electronic umpires come, they're going to go to the big league first and move their way down, and they'll probably never get down to lower levels anyway. And who knows how long it's going to be until they get there. So I would just keep hammering away at it. Yeah, sorry, I just read your question quick about being kind of sidearm and then being over the top, and he was more accurate. Yeah, I mean, if he's struggling from down here and you adjust up here, and all of a sudden he's super accurate, I mean, I would definitely go for that. Where do I get the best baseballs for batting practice? So we use a local company that has a deal with a bunch of different baseball producers, and we get the baseballs through them. So, but there's all different kinds of baseballs. We have some Rawlings balls. We have some Pro Nines. We have. I probably use the most Pro 9 balls. And how many to buy? I mean, it just depends. Like, we have hundreds of them for our practices, but is there a player that took me under their wing? No, I wouldn't say that. I mean, Trevor Hoffman was extremely nice. I wouldn't say he took me under his wing. Yeah, I don't think I wouldn't say any player really took me under their wing. Dropping your back shoulder. So I would just first make sure that you are dropping your back shoulder. When the ball goes up, almost everyone says stop dropping your back shoulder, right? I have a lot of videos on this if you guys want to watch them in our hitting playlist. But the ball can go up, especially in the infield. This is one of the biggest misconceptions. People think that if you hit a lot of infield pop-ups, it's because you're dropping your back shoulder. Actually, the reason why most balls get popped up to the infield is because you have a negative attack angle. And so when you hit the ball, you hit it like this so much that you hit the bottom of the ball and you backspin the crap out of it and it goes straight up in the air to the infield. If your barrel was working under the ball too much, you probably wouldn't pop to the infield very much, because there's no way you're gonna, come up that much on it. What happens is if you were literally losing your barrel and swinging like this, you'd be under a lot of balls, as far as you'd swing and miss a ton, you'd foul balls back, and you'd hit more fly balls to the outfield. But if you're hitting pop-ups to the infield, normally it's a really steep or a negative attack angle. So why did I stop playing in the MLB? Because nobody wanted me to play anymore. That was an easy question. Yeah, I think Bauer eventually, I would think, would play again. Runner on first, base hit to right field. That's a one hop to the outfielder. Does the shortstop or second baseman be the cutoff for third base? We go shortstop. We go second baseman comes to the bag, shortstop comes over for the cut. Mar15, thank you so much for the super chat. I fart a lot when I have dairy products. Well, I will say that I've kind of become lactose intolerant. I actually have to take Lactaid now when I eat ice cream. I actually had some ice cream tonight without taking it, so I might be in the same boat as you, Mar. Thank you so much for the super chat. Let's see. How do I deal with the cutthroat world of Little League? Fathers coaching and starring their sons over kids that are better, parents fighting with each other, and coaches over who plays sector. Yeah, it's a big mess. So, we could probably talk about this for a while. I mean, trying to think of how I want to answer this question. I think, listen, when it comes to, like, I don't know, Little League, I don't know. I'm not around Little League a lot. I'm more in like the travel ball space and then high school. But I think that, try not to get anyone mad with the way I respond to this. I think a lot of times when the kids are just able to play, then things usually end up okay. So I guess we'll just say that. You're the man, Matt. Thanks for what you do. Thank you, Scott. You can tell you really love and want to grow the game. Thank God for you. Thank you. I appreciate that. I do love baseball and I like helping players. So, why do some guys get called up to the bigs over players with a lot better stats at their position? Yeah, so it really depends. I mean, there's a lot that goes into getting called up. Um, you know, stats don't always tell exactly what's going on, but also, offensive stats, defensive stats, base running, versatility, defensive positions, like age of the player, options, different types of rosters. There's a lot of things that play into it. For example, so I got called up obviously when I was with the Padres. When I was with the Nationals, I thought I was going to get called up. I was the only position player to make the All-Star team from our AAA team. I had a really good year that year, and I got hurt. I was banged up a little bit throughout the year, missed some time with a hamstring, and my wrist was hurting, and a couple other things hurt my ribs randomly. I had plantar fasciitis in my foot. So, I mean, I didn't get called up. I thought I was going to. Other players got called up, offensive players that I technically had better stats than. I was close. I was one of the leaders in on base percentage in the league, and I didn't get called up. So, why did that happen? I still don't know. But there's a lot of things that go into getting called up, right? Because you got to get put on the 40-man, and so someone's got to get taken off the 40-man, and there's just a lot of things that go into it. Who chooses for the team to wear black pants? Which team? Yeah, Brian, I'd probably wait. I'm not an expert in when to start lifting, but I probably would. The 3 baseballs behind me. So this is this baseball right here. This is my first major league hit. So this is first ML hit off of Greg Maddux. So that's the first major league hit I ever had. My first major league home run, they lost it, never got that back. This is a single A, high A All-Star game autographed by the whole team. And this is AAA All-Star games. This is actually, I was just talking about this when I was with the Nationals. I was the only member of the team to make the only offensive player to make the All-Star game. So that's the ball from that, and that's autographed by the team as well. There's a lot of major leaguers on this ball, but I can't read any of the names. I found my autograph, but I don't know any of these. I can't read any of these. Let's see. Oh, could everyone give the video a like? Thank you so much. I have to keep reminding myself. We're gonna try to get to 150 likes right now. We're at 107. We'll see if we'll be able to get to 150 tonight. What do I miss most about being in the majors? Just the competition. I think, I really like we have a high school game tomorrow. I'm getting I say nervous. So I don't know if you guys have the same thing that I have. When there's a big game going on, I get this feeling in my stomach. It's not a nervous scared. It's like a excited, anxious, feeling. I get it before games when I played. I get it before games when I coach. I get it before playoff games with the Patriots, which is a little bit odd. But when the Patriots play a postseason game, I get the same feeling. So the feeling that I get is a good feeling, in that it's hard. not many things make me feel that way. So I get it when there's like big time competitive, like I'm super excited to play in a game or be part of a game, right? So that's one reason I really like coaching, because when I was done coaching, there's really nothing that I get that feeling um, with. As a player, when you're used to competing, I think it's hard. That's why it's hard. Like I always think, like when Tom Brady retires, like how the crap is he going to get that feeling that he gets, on Sundays? I think probably a lot of players struggle with that. Now, for me, I never was obviously Tom Brady, and I didn't play in the major leagues for that long, but still, like, I got that feeling in college and in high school games. And so I don't even remember what your question was actually, but I know I'm going off on a tangent here, but I get that feeling when I play or now when I coach, and especially in high school games. Anything where like the win is important. I get that feeling. So one of the reasons I enjoy coaching. Chris, thank you so much for super chat. I'm a clubby for the Albuquerque Isotopes. Hey, I've played against the Albuquerque Isotopes. AAA affiliate of the Rockies. The guys are really cool. Haven't been big league. Do you ever play there? I haven't been big league yet. That's good. I have played there. Yes, I played there a long time ago. And you haven't been big league yet. That's good. I've been. One thing I hate, the idea of being big league. I don't know if everyone knows what that expression means. Basically, it's just someone that basically treats you like you're lower than them. You know, and it doesn't have to be a big leaguer that big leagues you. I mean, it probably should be, but there's some guys in the minor leagues that'll try to big league you. But I know I've never big leagued anyone. I've only been in the big leagues for a little bit, but there are a good amount of people that try to big league you. Mar, thank you so much for super chat. More specifically, dairy gives me diarrhea poo poo. Oh, that's unfortunate. I suggest you don't have any. Then you should lay off of the dairy. Thoughts on drag bunting? So I think that bunting for a hit should be used as a weapon. So Reggie Jackson big league me, and then I big league Reggie Jackson back. Yes, you're right. So if you guys don't know my Reggie Jackson story, I have a video on it on YouTube. I have two videos. One of them has pictures, the other one doesn't. If you watch the video without the pictures, everyone says, "Where are the pictures? It's not real if it don't have pictures." So I had to make another video with the pictures. So it's a long story, but I did big league Reggie Jackson, but that was because he big leagued me and I didn't like it. I got him back. Do I think more players should bunt against the shift? So, bunting isn't as easy as everyone thinks. So I was a good bunter because I bunted a lot my whole life. I used the bunt as a weapon from the time I was little. And so I'm very good at bunting. Guys that get shifted against, because they probably have a ton of power and they pull the ball a lot. Those guys have probably never bunted. So just saying hey, bunt the ball, it's not that easy. If you can bunt, then yeah, it's a good idea to bunt. I mean, basically they're giving you a free hit. It's not 100% chance because there's a chance you could pop up or bunt it back to the pitcher by accident or bunt it to the catcher. But it's probably a pretty high chance if you're a good bunter, you can just bunt the ball and just walk to first base. So if you could do that, then yes, that would be a smart idea because you would get on base about 90-something% of the time. And you'd go down as the greatest player to ever play baseball. Eventually, they would have to switch your defense. They wouldn't let you bunt forever. And, then you can go back to hitting. My 9-year-old is consistently late. Suggestions. Yeah, so, the easy suggestion is you got to get your load started earlier. Sometimes kids wait until they see the ball and then they load. So you've got to load. When the pitcher is loading, the hitter should be loading. Now, If that doesn't work, then it could just be something in their swing that's causing them to be late. Maybe it's just a long, slow swing. And that would come back to swing mechanics, and then you'd have to figure out, what is it? Is it, a rear elbow that's kind of leading and causing, the barrel to get dragged? So, it really depends. That could be more specific. So I would look at when he's getting ready to hit, and then if that all seems okay, then I would go to swing mechanics. Can I convince you to become a Yankee fan? Join the bandwagon now. So I actually picked the last 2 years, last year and this year, my World Series predictions at the beginning of the year were Dodgers, Yankees. So I'll stick with that. Have I ever struggled in high school? I didn't really struggle in high school. I'm sure I had. My biggest struggle was probably my senior year. We transitioned, the whole state of Massachusetts transitioned to wood bats. And I remember I started the year off swinging this really heavy wood bat, and I was struggling, and then I got rid of it and got a lighter one, and then I started hitting really well with it. So that was like my one time that I was struggling a little bit, and then I made the adjustment with the bat. So let's see. Why are you so sexy? I don't know. It's a great question. I don't know. My wife asks me that all the time. I tell her good genes, but I'm just kidding. She doesn't say that, and I don't say that either. Difference in bat drag and bat lag. Okay, so when I think of bat lag, I think of, your barrel is going to turn back this way, right? So it's going to turn like this, and now as it gets here, the barrel is going to be lagged back, and then it's going to come through. So that would be bat lag, and the barrel, if you push the barrel like this, you're not going to get bat lag. If you turn the barrel back, then you get bat lag. Bat drag is when usually this back elbow gets here, and now the barrel gets dragged, and the barrel can't get released because you can't release the barrel because your elbow is too far in front. So now you have to wait until your hands catch up to your elbow, and then the bat can finally get released. And that would be bat drag. So the bat's dragging through, and you don't want that. I have videos on that as well. If you type in bat drag or bat lag, my video should come up, and it'll explain it in more detail than I just did. What was the wooden bat weight that I felt was too heavy? So I swung a 34-inch, 31 ounce. And to be honest, it wasn't so much that the weight of the bat, it would be more the distribution of the weight. So I did try a 34-inch, 32-ounce bat. And so I did think that was a little too heavy, but to be honest, if it was a 34, 32, but it was a smaller barrel, like a C271, I'd be okay with it. But if I went to a bigger barrel, like a 243 or an I13, I went to a B21 with max bat, something with a big barrel, then the weight distribution ends up being the bat becomes too top heavy, and then it really causes it to be too much weight. So, but in general, I would say a 34, 31 was good. A 34, 31 and a half, I'd be okay. I never really wanted to go to 34, 32. So 34, 31 would be ideal. Who's the best high school team in Mass? So it depends on who. It's really tough to say. I mean, I haven't seen really. I've only seen the teams in our league and the teams we've played against. So, it's tough to say. I mean, I know I've seen some things where Austin Prep is ranked number 1. They haven't lost yet. Actually, one of the rankings I just looked at, it had like 3 of the 4 top teams were D3 teams. So, I don't know. We've played Austin Prep twice. They're a very talented team. They have very good pitching. They're well coached. They play good defense. They put the ball in play. They're smart. They play hard. They're a very good team. It's hard for me to say that they're the best team because I haven't seen all the other teams. But they're the best. I will say this: they're the best team that we have played this year. Your 60 time before being drafted, was it as big then? Yeah, so I ran the 60 all the time. I ran it at showcases. I ran it before I was drafted. I flew. The Rays had me fly to Tampa to do a workout. I flew to Milwaukee to do a workout. I flew to Texas to do a workout. I ran 60s in all those places. Yeah, I ran 60 at our. Your college has a pro day where you run it. My 60-yard dash was always pretty much 6'6", 6'5". I ran a 6'5'8" for Tampa. When I went down to Tampa to run for the Rays, I ran a 6'5'8". So, I mean, that was typically my time. Like, it was pretty much 6'6" on the nose almost all the time, The 6'5'8" one was probably the fastest one I ran, but it was almost always, like, basically right there. You've missed an hour. Been on here for an hour. Does Austin Prep have any highly touted prospects? Yes, their pitcher, Evan Blanco, is a senior. He's going to University of Virginia next year. Very good left-handed pitcher. So he's their best player, their highest prospect. They have a lot of good players. They've got the catcher was very solid. I mean, their whole team was very solid. The catcher was really solid. I think he's a really, really good player. Big, strong kid, athletic, good arm, really good receiver, blocker, can run for a big dude. They have a young infielder, a sophomore who's really good. They have the whole team's good. Dom Gabardi is one of our Antonelli baseball players. Their right fielder is a really good player. So. I'm leaving out a bunch of guys too, but they have a good team. Any advice for the mental part of hitting once you're in the batter's box? Yeah, so this could be a long talk. I have a mental playlist on my channel, so you guys can check that out too. Hey, we got 150 likes. All right, let's go for 200 likes. Can everyone give the video a like? See if we get the 200 likes. I'll give you like a 5-second spiel on the mental part of hitting. So I would do this. It would start from the, let's say when you're in the hole, you're on the bench, helmet on, batting gloves on, visualizing, studying the pitcher, visualizing, seeing something positive happen when you get to the plate, right? So you're formulating a plan, you're seeing yourself do well. You go to the on-deck circle, you get in sync with the pitcher, you get your timing down. When am I going to get my foot off the ground and get loaded and get to my spot, right? Which is that good hitting position on time. And then, you do that in the on-deck circle, then you walk to the plate and you walk with confidence. We call it walking big, but you're walking with confidence. You're not, slouched over, dragging your bat, right? So you're walking big. Body language is huge. If you walk up to the box defeated, you'll probably be defeated. If you walk up big, with confidence, you can kind of trick yourself into feeling confident. So when you get to the batter's box, take a deep breath in through your nose, hold it for a second or two, let it out through your mouth slow. Find a focal point or something on your bat, usually your label, where you can kind of clear your thoughts and kind of get into the present. Now as you get whatever your pre-pitch is, right? Maybe you waggle the bat or you do whatever. Have some type of final thought or just something simple, something that'll get your mind away from thinking about like the last at bat or the next at bat or, your girlfriend or whatever is in your mind. So maybe it's like quick hands or, just something that can just be very easy and simple to think about. So you're not thinking about 10,000 things, right? A lot of times people say, oh, don't think, but it's hard to not think, right? So you have to focus your thinking on something specific. So maybe I'm thinking like, hey, quick hands, or like short to the ball, something like that, right? And now you're just getting in rhythm with the pitcher and you're seeing the ball at the release point and basically you're going, right? You're anticipating your pitch. You're thinking yes, and we call it again yes, no. So I'm thinking hit. The ball's where I think it's going to be, then I just hit. If it's not there, then I go yes, no. and then I take it. So that's like the quickest version of all time. We could branch off and do a bunch of different things from there. But hey, Jesse Harris, thank you so much for the super chat. There's no question there, but thank you. It is time for bed for me. I'm going to go to bed in a little bit here, but I'll give you guys a few more minutes. You may know how to play baseball, but did you know that you can save 15% or more on car insurance by switching to Geico or using Geico? I don't know if that's true. I'm not so sure. I'll call Geico tomorrow, but I know the commercial says that. I've been to New Mexico, yes. I do not use a thumb guard. How does an older player stay healthy? So, as you get older, you definitely have to do a better job of taking care of your body, right? So that's nutrition, it's hydration, it's sleeping well, it's stretching and mobility work and stuff like that. So when you're young, you just kind of hop out of bed and you're good to go. And then when you get older, you can't do that anymore, right? So you just have to pay attention and really focus in and dedicate more time to those areas. Tom Stanley, thank you so much for Super Chat. My son hits all day when I'm pitching to him. When he bats against kids, his stride and swing get long. He's struggling. He's 9. Yeah, Tom, it's funny you say that. So, it's funny with my son. My son's 7, and he'll do something similar. His swing actually doesn't get long when he faces pitching. What he does, actually, so this is funny. A lot of people talk to me. Maybe I'll talk about this in a video tomorrow. But a lot of people say, like, what do you say to your son? Do you talk to him about hitting? And I don't talk to him that much about mechanics and stuff. But one thing we talked about today when we were driving to the game, because it happened last game, is that he's 7, so the pitchers throw real slow. The ball goes up like this. It takes forever to get to home plate. And what I noticed last game is that when I throw to him and I put something on it, he swings hard. But when he gets in the game and the ball's thrown really slow, he'll swing really slow. And I was like, I don't really try to say anything. I'm kind of sitting in the stands with my wife watching the game, and I'm just like, to myself, I'm like, what the hell is that? Like, what the hell is he doing? But I don't say anything. I just let him play, whatever. But we were driving today, and I was like, hey, dude, I'm like, when you get up there today, I'm like, just like, let it rip, swing hard, try to hit the ball hard. And he says, yeah, Dad, but he goes, the pitchers throw so slow that I'm afraid if I swing hard and fast, I'm going to swing before the ball ever gets there. So I try to swing at the same speed as the ball. And I was like, oh, geez. So I'm like, first of all, you don't have to be afraid. I'm like, there's nothing to be afraid about. Like, you swing fast and you miss the ball because you swing too early. Who cares? But I said, so I gave him the example of Mike Trout because he really likes Mike Trout. I don't know if you guys saw this. Mike Trout hit a home run off of like a 55-mile-an-hour fastball, I think it was. And Bobby Tewksbury, I think it was, put a split screen of Mike Trout hitting a home run off of a 95-mile-an-hour fastball and a 55. And if you look at the contact point, if you sync them to contact, the swings are exactly the same, right? So he didn't change his swing at all. He took the same speed swing. All he did was he got loaded later on the slower pitcher, right? So he didn't get loaded as early. So he was timing up the ball, right, with his body, loaded later, timed up, but then the swing stayed the same. So I explained this to him in the car, and he's pretty good with, he's pretty smart baseball-wise. And so I told him exactly that story, and it made sense to him. And he was like, oh, so I don't swing slower with the slow pitching. I wait longer to get ready for the ball. And I was like, yes, exactly. I'm like, you always swing the same speed no matter how fast the pitch is. And he was like, got it. And then I said, I don't know if this is a true, I heard this quote. I think this is true. I heard David Ortiz one time say, I swing hard every time just in case I hit it. So I said that to him. I said, because he likes David Ortiz too, from MLB The Show. And I said, David Ortiz said that he swings hard every time just in case he hits it. And he thought that was funny. But he went into the game today and he swung hard and he hit hit it really hard. There was one time where he kind of swung a little bit easy. Again, he's 7, like he's not going to do it great every time, perfect every time. But the interesting thing, and sorry for the long story, is that they walked him in his last at bat, and if you walk 4 hitters in an inning, they bring the coach in the pitch. And so they brought the coach in the pitch. When the coach came in the pitch, the coach threw harder. He threw it hard, and my son hit his best swing of the day, hit a rocket, almost killed the coach, like hit it really hard. And there was a great example of kind of what you just said. Like when the coach threw it harder, he swung it better. When the kids threw it slower, he doesn't swing it as well. So some of that, I think, is just being a young kid and just kind of, getting reps and getting a feel for it. And maybe it's something, you said his swing gets longer. Again, my son's swing gets slower. I don't know if maybe the same thing's happening to your son, but I have no idea. Maybe that story just wasted your time. It could have very well wasted a lot of people's time, but hopefully maybe someone will get something out of that. Mar 15, did you ever fart in the car when you were a kid? Yeah, I mean, I farted in the car today. So, I mean, yeah, sure. Let's see, what else? You're welcome, Tom. At what age will you start to coach mechanics to your son? So this is a really good story, and I get this asked a lot. I don't know when I'll start talking mechanics to my son. I do talk mechanics somewhat. Like I'll say, make sure your feet are in a good position. Like I showed him the position he wants to get into when he wants to get his swing off. But like I don't like overcoach everything he does. He does like all young kids. He gets a little bit of that rear elbow in front, drag the barrel through sometimes. Now some of that is he's just young. Today, he has a wood bat. For some reason, he loves this wood bat that he has. He brought that up to the game today and hit with it in his game. He actually hit the ball really well with it. It's a little too heavy for him, so he gets a little bit of bat drag. But, I don't know exactly when I will talk to him about mechanics, like bigger mechanics. Probably wait a while. Again, he's only 7. I think all coaching is again, kind of more art than science. So, like, trying to figure out like the right time and what to say and when to say it and how to say it and all that stuff, right? It's like there's no answer. There's no correct answer. It's different for everybody. So I think that's every coach deals with that. Like, when do I say something? When do I don't? When don't I? How do I say it? So that was a non-answer to a question. Will your son be in the MLB? Well, I would say percentages would say that no, he won't be in the MLB. But he tells me he wants to be in the MLB. He says, if you ask him what do you want to do when you get older, he says I want to be in the major leagues and in the NFL. But then sometimes he'll be like, no, he'll say that. I'll say, no, I just want to be in the major leagues. So, who knows? I will help him try to get to the major leagues if he does say that that's what he wants to do. It takes a lot of work to get to the major leagues. You got to like dedicate a lot of your life and a lot of time and energy and effort and focus to getting there. So, obviously it's really difficult. There's a lot of people in the world that play baseball, only a few play in the major leagues. But if he decides that he wants to, my advice, I would give him my advice just because I've already traveled that road. And then I would try to help him get there if he wants my help. If he says, Dad, leave me alone, I don't want your help, I guess I'll leave him alone. Jesse Harris, thank you so much for Super Chat. Road to 90, we'll continue that series. So just so you guys know, oh, by the way, we're almost at 200 likes. If everyone could give the video a like, we'll try to get to 200. Just so you know, I was asked to play on a team this summer. Thanks, Coach Tim. So a bunch of guys are trying to get me to play on this team, which is college kids and then former college kids. And they're trying to get me to play. And I said, if I play, I want to pitch because that's what I really miss doing a lot, pitching. I haven't pitched since high school. So if they let me do it, well, I think I have to show them that I still got it. So I'm going to go through a bullpen. I'll videotape it. And I'm going to try to, I'm not going to get to 90, I don't think, because I don't have time to work out or anything, but we'll see how hard I throw. and I'll videotape it. And maybe we'll make it a series. It could be fun. What are some things I can do to practice at home since my team can only practice once a week? Yeah, so yeah, you definitely got to find time. I'll say this. Does being ranked by PG help the recruiting process? Sure, it can. It doesn't mean you're automatically going to get recruited, but I'll say this. I tell our kids all the time, if, like for you, if your team practices once a week, if you think that you're going to get really good practicing once a week, you're not going to, right? It takes a lot more time than that. Really good players are made before practice and after practice. So it's what you do on your own, right? Like the old saying, like it's what you do when no one's watching that matters. And that's true. So you've got to be able to do stuff on your own. Some people have, parents or friends or grandparents or uncles or whatever that can practice with them, and some people don't. So you might have to get creative. And it could be as simple as like a racquetball, a tennis ball, a racquetball, in a wall, and that can be your best friend, and you can get 1,000,000 reps on that. And you don't have, I have a bunch of videos on here that show different drills, but it's not even so much drills, like literally just getting a ball and throwing off the wall and working your feet and fielding the ball and transferring and setting your feet. Like that can be better than any drill that there is. So you just got to do something. Keith, thank you so much for Super Chat. Have you ever played against Robinson Cano or in spring training? Yeah, I've played against Robinson Cano back in the day. I have. I've played against most veteran players I've probably played against. I'm 37 now, so if you think about guys that are like, in that range, 37, a little bit younger, there's not many a little bit older. But any older player in the major leagues that I've played against, like I've hit against Clayton Kershaw, I've hit against Justin Verlander, so all the old guys are guys that I've played against. You guys can probably, and I've played with Bryce Harper, because he was young and I was getting old. But like, there's still guys that are playing that I played against. Not as much. Julio Franco, no, I'm not that old. But a lot of the veteran guys are guys that I played against. Favorite place to play was Dodger Stadium. I like playing there. Hardest guys for me to hit were guys like Ubaldo Jimenez, Tim Lincecum, Daniel Bard, Darren O'Day I really struggle with. Those guys. Yeah, like David Wright's a good example of a guy I played against, yes. Adrian Beltre I played against, yep. Yuli Gurriel, well, he's got kind of a little bit of the same Julio Franco. Best MLB food spread. Nelson Cruz, yep, played against Nelson Cruz a lot. I've seen Nelson Cruz hit a lot of home runs against me. A lot of Nelson Cruz's home runs went over my head. Albert Pujols I played against, yep. Nelson Cruz used to hit balls that I'd be like, oh, like he was one dude, he'd hit homers. I'd be like, oh my God. Delman Young, did I play against Delman? I feel like I did. Joe Mauer, I'm trying to think. I don't think I ever played the Twins, but I'm sure he was on the team when I was playing. Todd Helton, was he with the Rockies when I played them? When I was playing the Rockies, it was like, who did they have? They had Chris Iannetta behind the plate. They had Ubaldo Jimenez on the mound. They had Troy Tulowitzki at short. Who was their third baseman when I played them? God, it's so long ago now, I can't even remember. Yeah, Ty Cobb, I played against Ty Cobb. Brandon Moss, yeah, I played against him. I played against Aroldis Chapman, yeah. I was on the bench, actually, when we faced Aroldis Chapman. I did meet Tony Gwynn. Yeah, a couple times got to talk with Tony Gwynn. All right, everyone, we need 12 more likes to get to 200. Hardest pitcher I ever had to face was probably Daniel Bard. Jonathan Broxton threw hard. Aroldis Chapman, although I was on the bench that day, so I didn't really face him. Hardest pitcher was probably Daniel Bard. He was consistently in like 100. Oh, there we go. We only need 3 more likes, everyone, for 200. 3 more likes. I like maple bats. I always use maple bats. Oh, man, I lost 3 likes. That's messed up, everybody. Bard does still throw gas, and he threw gas back in the day. There we go, 200. Thanks, everyone. So the thing, yeah, Shoeless Joe Jackson played against him a lot. Here's the thing with Daniel Bard throwing, is that Daniel Bard always looked like, oh, I lost 4 likes. That's messed up again. Daniel Bard looked like he was throwing so easy. Like he was just like slow. It just, everything looked easy. And then the ball came out like 202. So it was always hard to hit Bard. I just couldn't figure it out. Hey, taco guy. You know, I'd be like getting ready and I'd be like, I don't know. I never had issues with velocity. Like I really never cared like, oh, this guy throws fast. Like my whole life, I liked pitchers that threw fast, but did not like Daniel Bard. He felt like he was throwing 120 miles an hour. All right, everyone, we're going to answer one more question, and then I'm going to go to bed because everyone in my family is sick right now. My daughter has COVID. My son had COVID last week. My wife has COVID right now. I'm the only one that I refuse to get sick. I keep testing. I keep testing negative. Laura's getting really mad that she's not getting mad that she doesn't want me sick, but I told her I said I don't get sick. I don't believe in getting sick. I don't get sick. I told her I punch COVID in the face. Okay, so I refuse to get sick. Thanks, Jacob. Is it bad to be the best in your summer team? Well, it's not bad, but you don't want to be so good that you're like by far the best player, right? So there's nothing wrong with being the best player, but if you're like the best player by far, you probably want to find a different team because you want other players to push you. Does Fenwick have a busy week? We have a game tomorrow. We have a game Wednesday. So we have a game tomorrow, practice Tuesday, game on Wednesday, off on Thursday. And then we'll have practice again. Then we play on Sunday. And then we have off for a little bit because there's graduation and all that stuff. And then we'll start the state tournament. What state has the most competitive high school teams that you've personally seen? So I haven't seen high school teams from a bunch of states play. I mean, I've seen Georgia high school baseball. I've seen Florida. I've never seen Texas in action. I've never seen California in action, but I know a lot of players that played in those areas. You know, the best baseball is, and there's great baseball in a lot of states, but you know, Georgia, Florida, Texas, California, those are like the big states I think of when I think of like really great high school baseball. That doesn't mean that like Alabama doesn't have good baseball, and you know, lots of, you know, there's good baseball all over the place. But those are kind of the states that come to mind. What's the dugout like after you strike out? Yeah, pretty quiet. No one really says anything. You know, some guys give you a pat in the butt. And that's really it. I played against Ken Griffey Jr. Never met him, but played against him. Down South Outdoors. This will be the last one, everyone. Thank you so much for the Super Chat, Down South. Is it better for catchers to cheat on their throws down for recruiting videos and showcases for better times, or would coaches rather see mechanics? Yeah, so I wouldn't cheat because you don't want to try to cheat the drill. Now, you can cheat a little bit as far as like maybe staggering your stance just a little bit and maybe like, you know, starting to shift your weight just a little bit early. But you don't want to be in a video where you're like standing sideways, right? Because then at that point, they're going to look at the time and be like, this is a fake time anyway because he's cheating. So I wouldn't do that, right? So, yeah. Yeah, 5-star. Well, we've played against 5-star a bunch of times. Virginia Beach area has great baseball, right? So, you know. Yeah, I don't want to like shortchange a lot of the other states because there's great baseball all over. Like New Jersey has great high school baseball, right? Like that's more of a northern state, but they have great baseball. There's good baseball in New York. Um, there's tons of great teams in New Jersey. So, anyways, that's all we have, everyone. Thank you so much tonight for everyone joining in. We did a nice long session here, about an hour and a half. But I appreciate the questions. I'm going to go get some sleep now in case, my wife or kids or someone come and wake me up because they don't feel well. And hopefully I continue to feel well. Oh, it is my first yawn of the night, which means it is time for bed. So I got a lot of baseball tomorrow. I got a high school game going on the road. Got about an hour trip. So hopefully we do well. And we'll do another live session maybe next Sunday night. This seems like a good night to do it. So good night, everyone. Thanks again. Have a great week, and we'll talk to you